Greetings, everyone. Let me ask you a few questions before this speech. What comes to your mind when we talk about prison? You think that they are like heaven or hell? How about the prisoners? What do you think about them? Are they monsters? Or are they like us, just normal human beings that committed grave mistakes? Well, to the common perspective of people, they see a prison as a scary place where it is filled with monsters, such as murderers, serial killers, thieves, and etc. But what if we say that prisons should treat prisoners as humans, not monsters? I know that there are many questions that's going on in your mind, but keep them to yourselves, because we will let you realize that a prison is a place where prisoners should reflect on what they have done wrong or the grave mistakes that they have made. We are all humans, no matter what we do. It may be good or bad. Prisoners have done bad things, that's why they were thrown in the jail. But should we look at them suspiciously just because of what they have done? Prisoners are also human beings that should be respected on. Prison is a place for rehabilitation, not for punishment. Even they change their way of life. I hope that by the end of this speech, the way you see prison and prisoners changes for the better.
We believe that we should start changing our perspective towards the prison and the prisoners by firstly knowing that prisons should be for rehabilitation, not for punishment and injustice. There are several prisons these days that are using means of brutality and abuse in order to lecture the prisoners. But prisons shouldn't be like that. Prisons should be treating the prisoners with respect because they are also human. And humans always make mistakes in some point of their life. Respect is the one thing that a human highly needs. But what these prisons are doing now to the prisoners are abusing, and it's just wrong to see. For example, an article on the internet states that US soldiers are torturing prisoners from Iraq or Afghanistan. They are using means of brutality and abuse. And the picture states that the teenager was standing on top of the headlights of a truck immediately after his mock execution staged by US soldiers. Another picture shows that an Iraqi farmer named Muhammad Hussein Kadir was shot dead at point-blank range by US soldier while handcuffed. But some of these pictures are still hidden until now because these cannot be shown to the public eye. Even in local prisons, they are using means of abuse and torture. Police in the Philippines are using a game called Wheel of Torture in suspecting criminals who are suspected to be drug traffickers. According to human rights groups, these police officers are going to be punished and accused of cruelty because of their doing with this game of chance. According from the source on the internet, the most credible research done by a method called meta-analysis demonstrates that the net effect of treatment is on average a positive reduction on overall recidivism or reoffending by 10 to 12%, which can promote a reduction in crime, and that is by penological standards massive. So, there is a possible cure for these prisoners who have gone insane and mentally ill. My second main point is that prisons should have guards that are disciplined, not abusive of their power, and have a clean mindset on guarding the prison. Prisoners are already aware of what they have done wrong and the hard situation they are in right now. Even some prisoners did a crime unknowingly and by accident. Even President Obama once said when he visited Oklahoma City prison is that, quote unquote, these are young men that have made mistakes that are not that different from the mistakes I made. But even after that statement, the prison guards are still using abuse and physical violence towards the prisoners. According to a source from the internet, there was an incident regarding where there were at least 20 correctional officers kicking and punching a prisoner after he was thrown to the ground just because of an argument. Another incident was where a correctional officer reported a fellow guard at a Florida prison because the prisoner guard gouged out a mentally ill inmate's eye. The prisoner was already mentally ill, but the guard still gouged out his eye. And that for me is wrong for a prison guard. From what I see, he should be the one in prison and staying there for the real crime he has committed. So one step in making a prison a better place for these prisoners is to find guards that are disciplined, not abusive of their power, and have a clean mindset on guarding a prison.
What we see here are the facilities of the prisons of the country of Norway. This kind of treatment alone is one of the reasons why they are known to have the lowest number of second offenders in this world and one of the lowest crime rates. It works with a 75 to 80% success rate. Prisons like these are rated the best in the world because of the percentage of people that actually get back to society. So, what are the types of criminals that get into these kinds of prisons anyway? Because we have to assume that not all criminals get this kind of treatment. Heavier crimes are punished in a different way, with fewer privileges in comparison to other inmates. But even those prisoners get the same psychological therapy and the help that they obviously need. For me, it would make a huge difference depending on the seriousness or how you were treated. Sometimes, crime is committed simply out of, for example, depression, despair, and when you were treated like crap in prison, and when you get out, and you don't even have a job, or a place to go to, then it's only logical that you'll be more likely to commit another crime. Although, people say that the basic idea of incarnation is reintegration. So, more or less, most of prisoners actually get into these kinds of prisons. They even get paid education for better reintegration chances. That education will help the prisoners land a job once they are free from the prisons and go back to society. From what I think, the only prisoners that actually suffer will only be the female abusers and the child molesters.
I hope that you see that prisoners are not really that bad as you think. Yes, they made horrible mistakes, but that doesn't mean that we should treat them like animals. Each and one of us deserves respect, whether you're an ex-convict or a normal person. Policemen that abuse their power or treat prisoners like animals are basically sadists who enjoy inflicting pain and watching others suffer. We should not judge prisoners because we don't know their story, their explanation, or the reason that on why they did all those stuff. Instead of judging them, we should instead help them realize their mistakes and nurture them and change them into something that their families will be proud of. And also, policemen that abuse their power or and treat prisoners like animals are just there for the money, also for the power, and not for justice. And that makes them the most horrible person or human being in the whole world.